All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Smirking Gun. This is Rob here. And I've cut back on all my streaming services. And for a treat, I was like, well, if I'm gonna put Hulu and Disney Plus on hold for right now, I need something. And I'm not gonna watch Freebie because I can't stand commercials. I might as well just bust out all my Blu-rays for all the TV shows that I like. So I finally thought to myself, I think I've got enough stuff piled up on Netflix to legitimately go. If I just have Netflix, I'll watch the shit out of it. Because the last time I got Netflix for a month, I barely watched anything. I didn't even watch Wednesday. I think Wednesday had come out by then. I didn't even watch that, and I should have watched it. I guess I don't know. Um, and it's just so strange. Like I've had Netflix for so long. I was again one of those like people that yeah, I had the discs, but like when streaming started, not everybody jumped on board. And I don't know. I think a lot of us, people that are like less inclined to go out and stuff were all over streaming first. I think that's what it was. Because we were telling people, "Hey, get on streaming." People were like, "No, man. Why would I sit at home watching, shit?" People went out and did things, everybody. People still do things, but boy, oh boy, do we do, does it seem more prevalent to just sit inside now? Um, treating myself to a month of Netflix. That's what this is called. And today we're talking about David Fincher's The Killer because, of course, I'm talking about David Fincher's The Killer. It's David Fincher. Fucking love this guy. Even his I would rather watch his worst movie than most things out or his TV shows like Manhunt, Mindhunter. I mean, uh, man, I freaking love that show. I wish that the Netflix had handled that better. I don't know who was responsible for not having more Mindhunter, but let's get on that. Um, but Fincher's had me like I didn't know he did Alien 3. And I know that that movie is really mostly, I would say, not his fault. So I I haven't watched it in a while, and I would love to watch it again and talk about it on this channel. But like every single movie he's made, I've liked every single one. Varying degrees of like I love his movies. All of them put in a row. If I had to like rank them, it would start getting hard really quickly. Like the top ones are really easy for me, but like then it's like trying to pick like, they're all so unique and different. Even Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that's based off of something, like and he's done stuff that's based off of stuff, but, like, something that's, like, already been made before. So it's like the you get the original version of that, and then Fincher makes it, and really they release it on Christmas. Good idea. Good idea to release a movie like that on Christmas. We're so edgy. It's like not your typical Christmas movie. They try to do that all the time. I don't know if they still do because movies are whatever, but it used to be that you could always count on like some really kind of crazy out of nowhere movie to come out at Christmas. We were like, really? I think Jackie Brown came out like right around Christmas time, like right at Christmas. And I'm like, why the fuck? But today we're talking about The Killer. And that's why you go down the David Fincher rabbit hole. So if you're new to this channel, this is how it goes, folks. If you go to a movie and you want to talk to somebody about it and you don't have anybody to talk to, I'm that guy. I'm that guy that talks about it with you. And usually a lot of people like to have somebody who maybe knows a little bit more about movies than they do. And I don't mean that like some kind of brag, but there's a lot of people who are just like, oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know that. Like a lot of people out there, I think one of the main reasons people go and seek out this stuff is to have like a conversation. So that's what this is. It's like imagine me just talking to you, except, I'm putting this out there to everyone in the world. So imagine I'm talking to everyone in the world potentially. That's all it is I'm having a conversation with you. And it goes different places and it goes all over the place because that's me. My mind is different. Or maybe I just think that. So anyway, running you all through the paces of my channel. So yeah, every single one of his movies are great. Now, The Killer is interesting. Brings back uh Andrew Kevin Walker and him together from Seven. Like one of the downsides to doing this, right, is everybody's like they're back together again, all the way from like Seven to now. And I always feel like there's like this undue pressure then to like go, okay, the guy from Seven and the guy who wrote Seven and the guy who directed Seven are back. So this, I think in a lot of people's minds, they automatically go, okay, if it's not as good or better than Seven, then this movie sucks or is disappointing. Um, I, for one, thought it was really interesting, this pairing, coming back to this movie. Um, Seven had a lot of narration, and so does this. Seven, you got Morgan Freeman talking over things, but not as much as this, I don't think. This has Seven had a lot more dialogue. Seven had more characters, and they weren't living secret lives or anything. The killer was leading the secret life, and so there was all the dialogue from them and the inner monologue from this guy trying to retire. Now in this movie, it's mostly it's mostly voiceover from Michael Fassbender's killer character, and it's like there's not tons of dialogue. Almost all the dialogue comes from the other characters, and this movie, at least, like, literally, it's one of those movies that until literally, like, the very last line of the movie, do you understand, like, everything that was confusing about this guy's thought process and what was actually happening in the movie, and what it felt like, to me, what the movie was trying to drive me towards a certain way of thinking about this person's motivations, and then changes it at the last second to have you go, "Oh." Oh, so, like, spoilers for this movie, right? And I guess I won't spoil, like, because 'cause I'm trying to be vague, but, in a last second character understanding, a shift in character understanding, where you think the movie is going to end, and it literally is like this guy's gotta be kind of delusional because he's saying one thing in his head and he's doing something different. But if you start to catch on early in the movie, if you pay attention to that, if you don't let the fact that he's saying these things that are very cold, and I mean, the guy is a killer. He's a psychopath. Um, you have to be. Like, like this guy, this, we I don't know, but he's a psychopath. But so when you see him talking to you about, you know, all these just kind of lines of cold killer stuff like you have to do this, you have to do this, your thinking has to be this way. I'm not exceptional. I'm just a part. He listens to the Smiths. Like it's all like this whole like, the person who like he's the way he's describing things. I guess you have to you're led to believe that he believes these things and that maybe he's struggling with these beliefs that he has to how he does things and why he does things. So at the beginning of this, they have me thinking like, okay, he's just telling me uh his regiment, how he does things, how he's successful, how if you can hire him, if you can afford him, you know, all the usual rigmarole of the expert assassin, cold-blooded killer. What does it take? They're taking this, you get this realistic looking take of the guy sitting patiently bare bones, getting ready to go, getting ready to kill, the guy who doesn't make mistakes. And then you get this inner monologue of like the worst case scenario of kind of like what a lot of people um how do you put this? Like when people realize that there is no the people that accept or whatever, because look, I'm not going to tell anybody how to believe, what to believe in this universe. If you need a higher power to get you through the day, to give you some kind of hope that they're, because we don't absolutely know that maybe when we blink out our lights for the last time, that there's something better, something out there, like, and that once you close your eyes, you'll either be right or you won't know. And then there's the people that go the opposite way and go, well, if there is nothing, that everything we do basically is meaningless because we're a speck of sand in the cosmos. And nothing we do matters or ever will matter, that anybody who remembers us eventually will forget, even the most famous people, you have to do something on the level of, I mean, we talk about Julius Caesar and the guy's reign was like short as fuck. But it's like how intense things went down somewhere that we remember things. So no matter what we do, eventually, even the worst killers are eventually forgotten. And when you have somebody that thinks like that can just completely check out from society and just that fantasy. Like I was thinking about that jerk off, the critical drinker when I was watching this, and him talking about the stoic man. The stoic this I really wanna do something that, like, really goes after this guy, like, it just complete parody, like, Groundskeeper Willie talking about movies like, "Ugh, it's Willie." I can't even do it right now. But, like, this guy who talks about the stoic man, and I was thinking to myself, like, watching this character, and I'm like, "This is his stoic man, a psychopath." Like, this is what he's talking about, not like these, like, fantasy like, all these characters that he's talking about, these stoic men, they're fucking stone cold psychopaths. They dress them up like, like movies like Commando, right? With, like, Schwarzenegger, where he's like the strong, silent father who came from a war, and now he just wants to get on with his life. And then they come for him, and they take his daughter, and this stoic man who's just been living in the mountains, suddenly has to do the thing that he never, like wanted to do. He's doing for it for right reasons, and so he goes out there and psychotically kills every people, every person that gets in his way to save his daughter. Those people are psychopaths. Like they may be going after their daughter, but they're psychopaths, and they're not, in this stoic thing like that they're talking about. You know, your stoicism kind of ends when you start firing off like giant machine guns and stuff. That's not stoic. But like this is the real stoic man if these guys are really talking about it. It's the psychopaths that are out there quietly like doing the revenge. They hit my woman. They hit my housekeeper that I really, really like. I keep her around because, if I'm going to be alone in paradise, I might as well have a hot Latino maid, take care of other things like in this movie. And I'm not saying that that's completely what's going on. I just mean, like, this male power fantasy, like, this is it. If you're looking for the stoic man, it's these quiet psychopaths. Because that's the only thing that's really like, what is that? So, anyway, that's what I was thinking about, like, when I was thinking about this character and what he's saying to me. Like, the ideals that he's coming off as, of, like, the complete disconnect from society and that, do whatever thou willst because, you're gonna be dead and it won't matter. And so he's going through this mantra, this is what you do to succeed. And so he's building all this up, right? And then when the time for the assassination goes actually down, that the actual killing goes down, and he's still saying all these things. Don't compromise, don't empathy. Empathy is weakness, all this stuff, right? And it's getting you like pumped up and you're like waiting for the shot. You're waiting in this intense situation to finally pull off where he's gonna do the thing and he fucks up. It's a completely random mistake. Somebody else gets shot. His shock, like, 'cause his whole thing here is, "I don't give a fuck." And it's like, then he misses, and then because the story really is, like, if you wanna just take it bare bones, right? It's a presumably excellent assassin with, like, a s again, presumably because he's been, got tons of money and people like, he's reached the heights to where the highest level people they're the only ones who can basically afford him. We have all these presumptions that this movie starts to build up about this character, right? And how intense he is because of how he's talking in his head to us. That when he misses, it's like, oh, because he's going off of this, "I don't give a fuck. I am cold. I am patient. I don't care about your politics. I don't care about any of this." The same stuff that we've heard a bunch of different times, but depending on the quality of the filmmaking, it's either effective or it isn't. And in movies like this, where you have like competent people around it, this works, even though you've seen it before. So when he misses, and all of a sudden, it's like to me, it was like his world getting pulled out from under him, like, "Oh, shit," and now everything starts kind of going wrong, like, the cops are immediately, like, kind of on him. It looked like one of those kind of cliche, like, "Oh my god, he's not gonna get away," and then he just barely gets away, but, I mean, like, they're on him, and then I start to question immediately, like, "How good is this guy?" I'm thinking about his mantra. I'm thinking how he missed. I'm thinking, "Oh my god, he's running now, and they've almost got him, and he feels like," you know but it's like, as it's going on, I keep thinking it's just this guy having one bad day. So, like, the cliche of, like, the guy misses, the company comes after him, he goes for revenge, the end. He either lives or he dies killing everybody, whatever. So it immediately has me thinking, "Oh my gosh, like, is he just not good at his job? Is this just a mistake? Is he full of shit?" Because he starts doing things that, like, to me, like, seem really bad to do. Like, even sneaking into, like, a garage, like, knowing the camera can see him, or going home, going back to where like, nobody you don't go back to where you like, if you have all these different places and stash houses full of money, cash, guns, everything you need, passports, why are you going home? So I'm immediately thinking, "This guy's not good." Everything that this movie's trying to tell me, because he says, "I'm not exceptional. I'm just a part. I'm no genius." But then he also says things like, if you wanna be successful, if you have this certain way of thinking, you wanna be one of the few, not one of the many. And so yet he goes home and he's running around. He turns off the music. He's basically drawing attention to himself. And then he goes to the hospital. And I'm thinking, this guy is not good at his job. This guy he cares for whoever got hurt here. The guy that he's talking about at the beginning of the movie, like, that's not that guy. That's not this guy. So why is this guy suddenly giving a shit about what happened? He talks about things like the people, that the the path, the people that the few understand that the only life path is the one behind them. So again, it's like this closed off, I don't have connections, I don't have this, but everything is telling me that this guy is not that person. But I'm still thinking, is it because he missed that he's all shaken up? and now his world is, like, crumbling down around him because the inevitability of a this profession kind of catching up to you, like, how you can ignore that eventuality for so long, like, when the when you're successful at it and nobody's come to kill you and you've got lots of power, money, and clout, and people come to you for this, and you don't miss, and you never miss, and you don't expect it, and then somehow the unforeseeable that should have been foreseeable, should have been known the whole time actually happens. Did this shake him up so bad that he's suddenly changing his life, like, "Oh, I've just gotta run. This is what happens. This is what happens in this career, is you either kill or be killed." But then it's also feels like this but instead, he's, like, more of, like, on the revenge kick, and goes at and then proceeds to do the kind of, like, Mel Gibson payback thing where he starts going up the chain of command. Okay, where's the guy who gave me the job? Okay, then who's the people that he hired? And then who's the client? And then just going up that way. And it starts to kind of play out like that, where, he goes to the one guy and does what has to be done there and takes the other person there and does what, like, and these are really, great moments. I'm not gonna like spoil them completely for everybody. But the whole time, they've got you in this like the kind of mindset of an assassin after a failure. Like the real like you know, I did really like his room service alarm. Thought that was pretty clever. Um, but it was just confusing me for a little while, like the way that they were trying to establish and make what this character actually is. He's using sitcom aliases like Lou Grant and George Jefferson. And for most people, I think that their most favorite parts of this movie are gonna be, like, when he starts getting after people. So, like, as he starts checking people off, and I gotta say, like, these are exciting moments, these are tense moments, these are scary moments that may, again, make you go, "Okay, if" like, he still seems to have a code, even though he doesn't he's, again, not operating like he should. How he takes care of the lady that he was just gonna disappear her, and how he takes care of Hedges, I don't know. But we get to Florida, and Florida was just like, there's not a lot of fighting in most Fincher there's not a lot of action in Fincher films, okay? Overall. Over all of his films, take how much action is in it, real action, and I don't count, like, punching in Fight Club is punching in Fight Club, a couple of guys fighting, whatever. Alien 3, that was like sci-fi space stuff, but like nobody's really running around with machine guns and getting into like brutal fights. 7, like all the way down the line. He's not known for making like action stuff. So the action scene, the close quarters combat scene between the killer and his would be, the assassin that was trying coming for him. Uh, that was excellent. That was like really, really, really well done, and I love to see that when somebody that doesn't do something very much in their movies can succeed and make it really well watchable. I mean, it was like gives me those Daredevil hallway vibes, the old boy kind of thing, except just one guy and another guy, just beating the hell out of each other, like, in this, like, kill or be killed situation where there's also a pit bull involved, and you're waiting for that thing to maybe become a part of the fight. It was, a really intense and brutal, and I was there for it, like, I don't even think the movie needed it to be good, but it's there, and I like it, because then you have the contrast of where he after that He goes after Tilda Swinton's character, and instead of, like, this brutal fight, you have this, like, thing in a restaurant where they just have this conversation, and again, there's, like, the whole "Sorry, this is why we do it, blah, blah, blah" trope, but it's coming out of Tilda Swinton's mouth, and she gets to tell this kind of funny bear joke that, like, describes, like, kind of their whole thing, and, every time if you go and you miss kind of like basically just saying, like, "You're gonna get fucked no matter what." So at some point, are you really there for the fight, or are you there just because you know you're gonna you get to get screwed over? Um, but again, it was done really, really well, and in the end, like, he's still taking out the people, he's still working his way up to, like, where he gets to Arliss Howard, and when he gets there, all of a sudden, everything shifts because it changes from, "Oh, he's killed everybody else, and he gets to this guy," and this is where I think a bunch of people that were either didn't like it but got won over, or people that were on board the whole way through are gonna be like, we're there's gonna be a section of that audience that's like, "Why the fuck did he let him go?" And that ties into everything that has happened before and everything we've heard and said and seen him act and do, is that he went there literally to find the guy who hired them to kill him and find out, like, to just let him know, like, "I can get to you. Why is there a problem here? I never fuck up." Is basically dressing down the client and letting him know, like, "I can get to you." It was simple. And so when we get to the end and, his girl is there and she's getting better clearly, and he's talking about, like, how the only path forward is behind you, like, the only path you leave is the one behind you, and he suddenly reveals that he's one of the many, not of the few, and that he does see, like, the world ahead of him, and that everything he's talking about, this is how you do this if you want to succeed, and basically, he's not trying to be that, and that this whole thing was a reminder of, like, the people above him to say to the people above him, "We can get to you. We know where you live, and you basically live at our pleasure. You have these things because we don't kill you." And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think there is something there. And I think there is something in this character that talks a lot about the possible worst case scenarios of people that have a complete lack of belief in anything or loss of hope and things like that. There's a few ways and levels of thinking about this film. And, look, if you didn't like what I had to say here, it's fine. And again, this is just a conversation, and, you gotta love that Amazon, you can go get, ways to break through security, and you can pick it up at a locker from Amazon. I love that. That's hilarious. But this was a really intense movie. It made me think about a lot of different thoughts. I mean, I until the end of this movie, I part of this conversation was gonna lean towards, that way of thinking about things, the worst case scenario person out there, the one that loses all hope, the one that can disconnect. They're out there. They're out there all the time. They're out there every day. And I don't think that mass shooting isn't like, because people just go, "Well, I don't wanna think about that. I just wanna think about this guy was a killer, and he defended his girlfriend, and he got revenge, and he reminded the people above him that I could kill you too." And if that's all you wanna walk away from this film, that's fine. That's fine, man. Nobody's taking that away from you, but the more I talk about it, the more I look into it, the more I see that there's a lot of layers and a lot of ways that you can address through this character a lot of different people and a lot of different ways of thinking in this world. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Otherwise, this is Rob saying, have a great day and get ready for some more Netflix content for a month of Netflix in November and December. Bye.